Right, I'm back. It's a few days later and we have the rocker cover with the rockers in place. Now I had a problem a few days ago. I don't know if you can see, but in the shot here there are these two holes, if this will focus, and in those holes there were stainless steel precision pins about yay long, and they were well and truly fitted in those holes, and what they do is they retain the shaft that goes through the rockers and prevents it from coming out. However, because they're a precision fit, they were in so hard that I had no way of getting them out, and a good friend of mine, Richard, kindly took the head to the workshop and welded on a stainless steel shaft onto the end of each one, and then used either a vise or mole grips and clamped this down and pulled the studs out, and he did it for both of them, and that was the only way we could find to get those out. I don't know if this will focus, but they are hardened steel pins, and I'm going to have to buy new ones of those. They are available, so I'll get some new ones, and when we rebuild it we'll put those in. But big thank you to Richard for doing that, and hopefully now we can take the shafts out of the end of the rocker cover. Hopefully they'll just fall out, and that'll allow us to get this vapor blasted without the steel components in there, and also change the seals that are just behind those end pieces there. And I'm going to order some new wave springs, which may or may not have been affected by the heat of the welding, and they're quite old anyway, and so we'll get some new ones of those. Let's go on and see if we can disassemble this ready for vapor blasting. Let's see if we can get these pins out. I noticed they're hollow at the end here, so that seems... Okay. Note, for whatever reason, this cutout here faces this way. This bolt, when it goes through here, locks this in place as well. So it's important to make sure that's centered that way, otherwise the bolts aren't going to go through. So note to self, cut out facing inwards. Okay, and that's the rubber seal there, and one of those was definitely leaking, so they'll need replacing. The seals. You can see some wear marks. Okay, there's the rocker. Okay, and there's the wave spring. Actually, that is showing some wear and tear, so it will be well worth changing that anyway, but I'll keep that in there just in case there's a problem. It's worth hanging on to these things. Alright, let's bag it. Okay, the rear second rocker. See what's what? Oh, that's interesting. It's just crud. Interestingly, the rear one has a notch there, which I think is for the decompression lever. which we took out earlier. And again, there's some wear on the wave washer, so we'll get a new one of those too. Got to flush out the crap that was left in the case when a piston exploded. I'm just going to use a little bit of white spirit. Hopefully this might wash out the worst of it. More power! Bit disappointed. I mean, it's a nice brass colour. Still a lot of crud on there though. I need a plan B. Okay, finished article. I have put some oil on it just to stop any rust forming when it's in the bag, but it's come up quite nicely. I had to be a bit more aggressive with it in the end because the deposits on there just were not shifting with the brass wheel, so I used a slightly more aggressive steel wheel, but with very light pressure, and I put the valve. I wrapped the valve in masking tape and to protect the stem, and lightly clamped it in a battery powered drill and rotated it as I carefully put it against the wire wheel, checking every few seconds to make sure no scratches were being left. And as it turns out, it's actually I can't see a single scratch in there. It seems to be back to sort of the original metal finish, but with no ill effect. So that particular valve's ready for grinding into the head when I get the head back from the blasters, and we'll take it from there. But this is all a learning curve, and again, there's probably hundreds of you out there cringing at the fact that I put it against the wire wheel, but it's the only thing that would really remove the really heavily built up crust. In fact, it was so heavy that it entirely filled the dished. I don't know if you can see it on there, how close I can get, but there's quite a deep dish on there, and that was entirely full of deposits. So yeah, gradually, bit by bit, it's taken a while, but it's come out. So I shall go and do the other one now, gingerly, carefully, very gradually, rotating it quickly in the drill so that no one spot ever touches the wire wheel for more than a fraction of a second. Yeah, do it from there. Quite pleased with that. Okay, I didn't want to really remove this because it was all happy, but because I'm polishing up the outside of the case, I think it'd be better to remove it in case I damage it. It means I can get the cables out of the way. And as a note to myself, the finer windings are at the top of the case, and the heavier windings, which I think are for the lighting circuit, are at the bottom of the case. There's this clip. I'm going to put that back in the case. I think I'm going to put the bolts back in the case while I do this. Okay, there's a bracket with an F on. So I think that stands for the front. Bracket with R on it, which stands to the rear. Hopefully there's no adjustment on these and they just fit in one place. Okay, that one's come loose. That one's come loose. This cable works its way out. Okay, that's free. Let's plug gently. Gently lever this rubber plug out, not damaging anything. Okay, there we go. So there's the unit. That's free, that's free. These are free. Okay. Ah, there's always one thing you miss, isn't there? Is that spring loaded? After a few hours of Scotch-Brite and sanding with wet and dry and then buffing on the wheel, we've got a far from perfect but still very nicely finished side cover, which is still showing a few battle scars and what have you, but you know, for the bike of this age that's quite acceptable. So I'm really pleased the way that's come up. So pretty much an afternoon's work, but we'll get on and do the other side, and then they can be put in a box aside.